next? What would you, if someone stopped you on the street and said, Bill, that was so wonderful, I want more. I want to sink my teeth into this, whatever this is, more. How would you answer them?
Well, I think it is really important for the humans, the general humans, to become more and more inner self-managed. First step is to really learning and appreciating meditation, so you can reduce the noise level inside. Second thing, when that's accomplished, is to really start to play with your own internal energies. And that gets into practices like Qigong. And that, then you now have a quiet inside, you now have ways to enhance your energy. Now what you need are biofeedback devices, so you can build your inner capacity. Our work shows that all humans have their acupuncture meridian chakra system at this higher gauge symmetry state that we produce with our devices. And what that means is that your intentions modulate or entangle with this energy flowing in that system, and that's at a higher free energy state, a thermodynamic free energy state, than our normal reality, where most of our organs are. And so from this higher free energy state, that is able to drive all processes in our body and outside of our body, so that actors, performers of all kinds, people who really accomplish things in the world, they unconsciously use that system, and they build that system. So now we need tools for the general public to build that system. And so those tools, which we're working towards with our work, will allow them to go from a normal individual to an adept, and then to a master, and ultimately to an avatar. And all of us, I think, will ultimately take that path. So it is time to get about the business of really becoming. And that's what I think is the next step. I mean, What the Bleep has opened a door. It's caught the public's imagination, the general public. They want to do more. They want to be more. They want to know how. We now have a device which patent hasn't been released yet, but allows us to measure the energy level of a conditioned space above our normal background reality, the U1 state. So we can have a quantitative measurement of that. So we can build an instrument that will do that. It'll be like a voltmeter, but it'll be, we call it size of H+ meter. But it would allow us to do that in rooms, and then ultimately, if we shrink that down in size to be able to do it around the human body, we will be able to see what the level of qi flow is in and out of the body. And that then can become a device that the individual can use as a biofeedback device to build their inner strength in these capacities, just as a physical gym is being used today for people to buff themselves.
You don't want to call it a vibe meter? Vibometer?
I don't know what to call it, really. As a scientist, I've got to be careful not to be too flip about it, because I would ultimately like to reach that community. But maybe it has to be called a vibe meter, because the intermediate step to really awaken society is probably the transformation of the general public.
Actually, now that I think of it, I think vibometer would be better. Because if you say vibe meter, it's a little too but yeah. Vibe.
Yes.
From the world of marketing, that's my input to the scientific world.
I will meditate on that.
Okay. It's so interesting. So you have a device, the vibometer, we'll call it,
yes,
just for fun, that can measure the conditioned space, the condition.
Yes.
What is that conditioned space in very practical terms, so the public you're talking about wanting to reach understands?
Well, in practical terms, the way I'm presently describing it is that the normal reality deals with the atom molecule level of physical reality. With our space, our device that conditions the space, what it does, it allows the connectivity between the atom-molecule level of reality and the vacuum level of reality to increase. In the normal reality, the connectivity is very, very small. In the theory, there has to be some in order for electromagnetism exists of any form. But in order to detect it, one has to do very careful experiments, and it's deep down in the statistics you've got to get to do that. But with this device, which is consciousness embedded into a device, that lifts, that consciousness seems to lift the symmetry state, and in practical terms it means that the connectivity between the atom-molecule level and the vacuum level increases. It's as if they're parallel universes, all right? And you can only measure in one universe. So in the normal reality, it's as if this is unconnected because you can't get a signature with your instruments. But with consciousness, which lifts the gauge symmetry state, which is also the higher thermodynamic free energy state, then it increases this coupling, and we begin to access the physics of the vacuum, which appears to be very much related to magnetic monopoles, as well as a whole variety of other things. And accessing that new physics allows intention to bring forth effects you wouldn't imagine.
Now, the zero-point energy field that you're talking about, could you just very briefly describe what you talked about that last night?
Yeah, it's not a. Is it a zero-point energy field? Well, first of all, physics defined zero-point energy a long time ago. That's when you're at absolute zero of temperature. There is still a vibrational state in the atom-molecule level of reality, and because there are these vibratory states, then as electrons move one state to another, they'll emit photons. So the zero-point energy is very much related to a spectrum of photons. The energy in that state, the photon energy, is smaller than the atom energy, and the atom energy is trivial in magnitude compared to the vacuum level energy I'm talking about. So the zero-point energy and the zero-point field, people talk a lot about. And they're important, but in terms of the magnitude of the energies involved, they're quite insignificant compared to the energies that we will discover in the vacuum level of reality, and the deeper levels of that. So one has to begin, one cannot use just a single blanket word of saying the 0 point, as many people are doing.